Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So Namaste. We are now in the fourth chapter of Srimad Bhagavad-Gita. Today we are going to do shlokas 14 and 15. Let's do a quick recap of what we have been doing in the last few shlokas. The very last shloka was the 13th shloka of the fourth chapter. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram api mam vidhya kartaram avyayam. So Sri Bhagavan pointed out that he is the one who is the creator of the four varna system. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra constitute the four varnas in this system. We discussed in detail what these varnas mean. And as we discussed, we learned that how we take birth in these varnas is determined by the karma that we have done in our past lives. The accumulation of karma in the past lives determines the predominant gunas that bind us. The guna are the three gunas of Prakriti. The guna is like a rope which binds. So Sattva, Rajas and Tamas are three types of ropes of material Prakriti that Prakriti uses to bind us in the samsara. So according to the karmas that we have done and the punya, the papa that we have committed or earned through those karmas, we are bound by different combinations of these gunas. So depending on the predominant guna that influences us at the time of birth, we get a particular varna in the current birth. It could be a Brahmana's varna, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. And according to the varna that we are assigned to in the birth, we are prescribed karma. So the system of dharma says that, okay, now you are born as something, then this is a kind of karma that you should do. Okay, but you can see that the birth itself is not an accidental thing. It itself is a result of what we have done in the past lives. So in the current life, if we do our karma properly, don't commit pap, act according to dharma, then what happens is that we rise towards sattva. The binding of the gunas becomes looser in the sense that the rajas and tamas decreases and we move towards sattva, right? But if we don't do that, if we commit pap, then we are pushed downwards. We move more into rajas and tamas. That's the simple understanding. So here I summarize, birth in a given category is based on the gunas that predominantly bind the individual, which in turn are a consequence of the results of one's karma in past births, and also a determinant of one's prescribed karma in the current birth. Now, Sri Bhagavan in the same shloka, in the 13th shloka, also points out that even though he is the karta, vidhi kartaram api akartaram avyayam. Even though he is the karta, he is also the karta. Why is it like that? It's because even as he's set up this system, he actually is beyond the gunas. The gunas don't influence him. The gunas are under him. So they bind the jivatma in the samsara, but he is not in the samsara. He is outside of it. So therefore, his karma, whatever activities he does all the activities. For example, he is born as a Kshatriya in this manifestation as Sri Krishna. Similarly, when he manifests as Sri Rama, he is also born as a Kshatriya. When he manifests as Vamana, then he was born in the Brahmana Varna. So whichever Varna that he manifests himself in, his birth is not like our birth. Even then, he performs the karma. He performs all the karma that Varna is supposed to do. Even though he performs the karma, he does not get any punya for it. Nor does he get any papa, right? Suppose he kills some demons, there's no papa in that because that's his leela. He is beyond the gunas. And when he performs all the karma in accordance with the systems of dharma, he does not get punya also. So there's no punya and papa in his actions. And for this reason, he's also called the akarta, means he's not doing any karma. His doing of karma is equivalent to not doing any karma. So he's also not the creator of the varna. That's one understanding. The other understanding is that the Prakriti actually is the one that's actually running these gunas, not him. He is far away from it. Even though everything comes from him, he is the source of everything. At the same time, he is he is removed. He is distant from the actual field of action. The field of action is this material prakriti in the samsara. That is the one that's creating everything. And therefore, he is not the creator. The prakriti is the creator. Right? So that's also a way of understanding what he means by saying, I am the akarta. So this was the 13th shloka. And now in the 14th shloka, 14th and 15th, we will look at both the shlokas today. He first says, Na mam karmani limpanti, na me karma phale spriha, iti mam yo abhijanati, karma bhir nasa badhyate. So, na mam karmani limpanti. Limpanti means limp dhatu, that is to smear. Okay, like we say, like we apply butter on bread. Okay, we are smearing the bread with butter, right? We smear chapati with some ghee. Sri Bhagavan does not get smeared by the karma. He is in the samsara in front of us, but he is not in the samsara. He is not influenced by the gunas. So whatever happens does not smear him, doesn't touch him. He is untouched by that. Namam karmani limpanti. Name karma phale spriha. Why? Because he does not have any spriha. Spriha means enthusiasm or interest or the desire to have it. Okay, the enthusiasm for the fruit of the karma. That's exactly what he means by anasakti or detachment. Name karma phale spriha. He's telling us also, you become like that. Don't be enthusiastic for the fruit. Just be enthusiastic for the duty of doing it. Be enthusiastic to perform the karma as a duty. You've been told to do this, do it. Don't run after the fruit. That's exactly his mentality. So he says, Name karma phale spriha. That is the reason why Namam karmani limpanti. That is the reason why the karma does not smear him. Right? Iti mam yo abhijanati. One who understands this. Iti mam means me. Yo abhijanati. Janati means one who knows. Abhijanati means one who knows this properly. Abhi, the word, the prefix abhi is added in Sanskrit to enhance the meaning of that word. Janati means knows. Abhijanati means knows thoroughly. One who thoroughly knows this or completely understands this. What happens to him? Karma bihi na sa badhyate. Such a person does not get entangled by the karma, does not get bound by the karma. So the word badhyate, badhyate means bound, gets bound. So the gunas bind us, right? The karma binds us to this samsara. But a person who understands this about Sri Bhagavan and understands it means he realizes that, he internalizes it, he accepts it. It's deep inside him. He sees Bhagavan like that. He too will not get bound. Why? Because he too will develop the same mentality. When we contemplate on somebody and his mentality, that person's mentality with a lot of attention, then that mentality comes to us. We also develop that same mentality. So here, that person who understands this thoroughly also will not get bound. Evam gyatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvaihi purvataram kritam. So he says that this is not only for you. I am not inventing, like he said earlier. This also was known to others. Evam gyatva, knowing this. Kritam karma. Work was done by whom? Purvaihi, the earlier people. And who are these people? Mumukshubhihi. Okay, what does the word mumukshu mean? Mumukshu means one who desires mukti. Okay, the word mumuksha. Mumuksha means muktehe icha, means the desire for mukti. Mumukshuhu, the person who desires mukti. Mumukshubhihi means by the people. It's plural here, bahuvachanam. The people who desire mukti, by them. By such people, this was known. What I'm telling you in the 14th shloka was known by them. And they did their karma like that, knowing, contemplating on me as a person who is beyond the gunas and who has no hankering for the punya of the karma, and who does all the karma without any kama, without any desire for enjoying the results of that karma. So they knew this, these people, and they did their karma. And just like them, okay, I'm not now telling only you. This is already done by many people. And you should just follow in their footsteps. Kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvaihi purvataram kritam. Just like they did it in the past, I'm asking you to do it today. So this is the 14th and 15th shloka. Karma does not, sorry, it should be does not smear me. The not is missing here. Karma does not smear me since I do not desire the fruits of karma. One who understands this well about me does not become bound by karma. Knowing this, karma was performed even by earlier persons who were desirous of mukti, liberation. Hence, just like them, you too should do your karma. So what is Sri Bhagavan saying? And why is he saying these two shlokas? Because earlier he had said, Chaturvarnya Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So the question might come, you also are born as a Kshatriya. So how can this not apply to you? What applies to all other Kshatriyas? How can it not apply to you? So you can see that the 14th shloka is actually a response to this anticipated question. Okay, that is why when we read a text, we should be able to connect why something is said in that text to what was said earlier in that text. So why the 14th shloka is being spoken in this way is because something was said in the 13th shloka, and that evokes certain questions. And this is the question it evokes. And the response to that question is in the 14th shloka. Similarly, as you know, doctoral students, when you write a paper, you should think when you write that what will the reviewer ask because of this? Whenever I say something, I'm claiming something. It's like Bhagavan is claiming that he is something. So a question comes in response to that. So when you write a paper, reviewers will ask, okay, why do you claim this? What is your justification for this? What is the support you have? Are you supporting yourself by past literature? Okay, here he says, Bhagavan says, Purvaihi Purvataram Kritam. He is supporting himself by saying, this was done by earlier people. In the same way, when you do literature review, you support yourself by saying, see, I'm not inventing this thing. This already has been said by previous people. I'm just citing them, right? Very similar logic. You can see that. So this question comes, and therefore Sri Bhagavan responds to it by saying, the reason I am saying this is because I'm not speared by the karma like the Jivatmas. It's because I'm not driven by the desire for the fruits. And this is supported. You see, Vishwanath Chakravarti, when commentators write, what they try to do is they support their statements from statements of not only the current Shastra that they are commenting upon, but from other Shastra. Okay, so now here, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti, I think this is Vishwanath Chakravarti or Baladev Vidyabhushana, one of them, because I've read both the commentaries together. I'm not able to recollect which one said this. This is from the Vishnu Puranam. In the Vishnu Puranam, in this particular place, it says, Nimitta matrameva asau srijyanam sarga karmani pradhana karani bhutaha yato vai srijya shaktayaha. So, Nimitta matrameva asau. Asau means this Vishnu, this person, Vishnu. Nimitta matrameva means he's only an instrumental cause. He's not the immediate cause. If you look at the causal chain, immediate cause of Prakriti is what is called as the Pradhana. Before Prakriti, the Prakriti that we see, material creation goes through multiple steps. You see, just like in modern science today, they say that there's one theory which tries to explain how the universe came into existence. There are many theories, but one of them says that there was some kind of matter, dark matter, something they say, right? And there was some big explosion called the Big Bang or something. So this primordial matter, this dark matter, then took many forms. That explosion resulted in the energy and so on. So what caused that explosion? Nobody has an answer. But there was something. Okay. So similarly, our Shastra says that there was something called Pradhana. Pradhana, then that led to Mahat Tattva. And from that, different elements came out. And then from that, further elements came out. And one by one, Prakriti took its shape. The Prakriti that is governing us today. Right? Then you may ask, where did that Pradhana come from? So if you trace it backwards, that came from Sri Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan has many different rupas, and that also is a causal chain. How the original Krishna of Vrindavan is considered the most original form of Bhagavan in the Bhagavatam. So that form of Sri Bhagavan becomes Vishnu in various different forms, and that in turn becomes other forms of Vishnu. So there is a whole causal chain, which eventually, when it comes to material creation, takes the form of Pradhana, Mahat Tattva, and so on, and finally becomes Prakriti. So here it says, Nimitta matrameva asau, the distant cause, instrumental cause only, he is only that. Srijyanam Srijya Karmani. Srijya means what is to be created, the items which are created. in the matter of sarga karmani, in the matter of creation. Pradhana karani bhutaha yato vai srijya shaktaya. So the energies which have gone into creation, they are the ones that have created that pradhana, which has led to the prakriti that we see today, the gross matter that we are conscious about today, like our material body, the mountains, the rocks, the sand, the different elements, and so on. So Vishnu Purana also says something very similar, that he is not the direct cause, he's an instrumental cause, but he's considered also as the cause because the energies which actually are the direct cause, they come from him. So here, what we hear in this shloka, just like now here he's saying that if you understand iti mam yo abhijanati karma bhirna sabhadyate, this is actually very consistent with what we read in the earlier shloka. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha. This was shloka number 9, right? Shloka number 9. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna resonates with that. It's a repetition, like a repetition. So we will see this, and this is actually the reason why Sri Bhagavan inspires Nishkama Karma Yoga. He says that knowing this, please perform karma, and that is how you will attain the perfection of Karma Yoga. And people like Vivaswan, Janaka, etc. did this. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim. If you look at Janaka's example, it's not only here, but in the 3rd chapter as well, in the 30th shloka. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim astita janakadayah loka sangraham evapi sampashyan kartum arhasi. Even though these people like Janaka, they are purified. Even the purpose of Karma Yoga, which is Chitta Shuddhi, purify the consciousness, they have already done that. And they have already reached a very mature stage of Karma Yoga. But even then, Loka Sangraham means for the benefit of society. Society will imitate what they are doing. Yad yad acharati sreshtaha tattadeva itaro janaha. Whatever the great people do, the leaders do, okay, they are the celebrities in society. Whatever they do, the common men follow. The ordinary people will follow. And therefore, people like Janaka, who are very illustrious people, right? Janaka is the father of Mother Sita, Lakshmi. So she took birth as his daughter because of his qualities, his greatness. So such people, how do they think? They think that, okay, if I leave and go, even though I don't have to do, I'm not obliged to do, but still I will do, because if I don't do, then these people also will not do, and they will suffer. I will not suffer, but they will suffer. I don't want them to suffer. So Sri Bhagavan says, please follow the example of Janaka. You also become like him. Don't leave this yuddha and go away. Don't leave this battlefield and go away. Just see how all the great people in the past have been, and please be like them. So now, just summing up what we have been doing in the last few shlokas, in the 12th shloka of the 4th chapter, Sri Bhagavan, Kangshantaha karmanam siddhim yajante iha devataha kripram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. So there, in the 12th shloka, he was speaking about sakama karma, right? Where karma, which is motivated in samanya dharma, that is also dharma. But there, the motivation to do karma is from the enjoyment which will come. In anticipation of that enjoyment, karma is done. Okay, it is very similar to how the hardworking people today conduct their lives. Okay, we have different types of people in today's society. We have people who don't do any work, who just wait for others to do work for them and live on their work. But there's also a class of people who are very sincere, very hardworking. But what do most of them think? What is the mentality of most of them? The mentality is that by doing hard work, I'll be able to get a better material life in the future, right? I'll earn a lot of money. I'll become rich. I'll have a better house. I'll attract wealthier people to be my friends. I'll go to bigger clubs. With this kind of anticipation of enjoyment for future, people work hard today, right? This is exactly the mentality of Samanya Dharma. And so this is, we discussed also how it has two types of Samanya Karma, Nitya Naimitika Karma and Kamya Karma. Nitya Naimitika Karma leads to Punya, and if you don't do it properly, it leads to Papa. Kamya Karma leads to specific fruits like Artha and Kama, which are called by these names, Artha and Kama. Now, in the two shlokas which we have seen today, Sri Bhagavan is talking about karma, the same karma which the people of Samanya Dharma do, the same karma, but done with a mentality that is not motivated by the fruits. So you do the same thing. Imagine that you're working today in a company, in a very responsible job, you're working very hard, but in your mind internally, you're not working. Your motivation to do that work is not because of the anticipated enjoyment which comes in the future from it. Rather, your motivation is that by doing my duty sincerely, I'll become eligible for mukti one day. I'll become eligible for pure knowledge, pure jnana, and that will in turn lead me to mukti. My consciousness will become purified by not thinking about the fruits, by rejecting the fruits. Let me work very hard. The fruits will come because I'm working hard. I can't say the fruits should not come. They will come. For example, if I'm working very hard in my company and doing my job sincerely, in due course of time, promotion will come, bonuses will come. Uh, Other companies will want to recruit me. They'll offer me jobs. I'll get a better position. These things will come. I'm not saying they should not come, but when they come, I will not seek enjoyment from them. I'll probably offer my wealth to others. I'll give it in charity, or I'll use it for doing some social service. I'll set up a foundation, whatever, but I will not take it for my enjoyment. I have ruled out my enjoyment from my mind. Okay, that is the mentality of karma yoga. And why? Because what is motivating you then? If you don't want anything of what you're doing, the thought that if I don't take these things, my consciousness becomes purified and I become eligible for that pure knowledge, the knowledge that I am the Jivatma. I am the Jivatma who is now bound in this samsara, but my job is to get out of this samsara and get that mukti. That knowledge will develop in me if I work like this. This is Karma Yoga, and that is the topic of these two shlokas which we have looked at today. So from the 12th shloka to the 14th shloka, you see this change happening in what Sri Bhagavan is saying. Basically, he's contrasting. He's speaking the 12th shloka so that he can contrast it with what he wants to say, right? And as we go on forward, we will see how he contrasts Karma Yoga, this path of Karma Jnana Yoga, which I'm calling as Karma Jnana Yoga, with Bhakti Yoga. He speaks about how Bhakti is actually the better path than even karma jnana yoga. Okay, we'll come to that later. But this way of contrasting and showing that the opposite is not what I want you to do. This is what I want to do. This is the Siddhanta. This will go on as we go through this text. So here it is. This is what karma yoga does, the chitta shuddhi. And chitta shuddhi, or purification of the consciousness, leads to atma sukha. Means we start experiencing that happiness inside. Okay, and this happiness, as it increases, initially it's the happiness of sattva guna. Okay? Even being in sattva guna, as we do this karma yoga, the chitta shuddhi leads to decrease of tamas and rajas. Rajas and tamas decrease, and sattva guna increases in us. Sattva guna by nature makes a person happy, feel happy, light, and that happiness is the happiness of sattva guna. But that also is material in nature. Eventually, the perfection of jnana, with the help of bhakti, one gets mukti. And mukti is Brahmananda, which is far, far of better quality of happiness than the happiness of even the sattva sukha. So this is what the karma yogi is aiming for. And how do we know all these things? Whatever we learn through the lens of the Shastra. You see that this is all something that cannot be proved with logic. Logic fails among the different forms of acquiring knowledge. You see, in our Shastra, there is something called as pramanam. Pramanam means epistemology, or where do we get knowledge from? What are the sources of knowledge? Okay, in all fields. In fact, as researchers, you will also be, thinking about epistemology. The epistemology part of your research is the methodology section. Methodology is basically the bridge between the questions and the answers. You raise a research question. To find the answer, you apply a methodology. So the methodology may involve you to go and collect data, analyze the data, and make some assumptions, etc. So similarly, our Shastra also talks about different methodologies or pramanas for acquiring knowledge. And the highest among them is considered as Shastra Pramana, the knowledge which is revealed in the Shastra. Why? There's a very beautiful shloka for that in the Hitopadesha, where it says, Shastra is the eye for everything. Aneka sanshayochedi paroksharthasya darshakam sarvasya lochanam shastram yasya nasti andha eva saha. Okay, this is from the Hitopadesha, which is a Niti Shastra actually. But even then, it talks about the beauty, the value of Shastra. It says, Aneka Sanshaya Uchedi. Shastra is that which destroys various types of doubts. It removes doubts. And what does it do? By removing doubts, paroksharthasya darshakam. Parokshartha means that which is not visible to the eye. Paroksha. Aksha. Aksha means the eye. Now, what the eye can see, we know from just by the act of vision. Right? We see something, we know it's there. Right? Now, there are many things the eye cannot see. For example, let's say even in the world of modern science, let's say, for example, electromagnetic waves that are there in the environment. Now, we cannot see electromagnetic waves with our eyes. We can see the symptoms of those waves. But how do we know that these are the symptoms of electromagnetic waves? We know because we read some book, right? We hear from some book or somebody who has read a book, somebody who has studied it. He explains that, okay, these are actually electromagnetic waves which are causing this physical phenomenon that you are seeing. So by hearing from that and reading some literature which is credible, we come to know that it is there. So it's beyond our eyesight. What we learned now is beyond the eyesight. It came from Shastra. That's exactly the point of saying Parokshartasya Darshakam. Sarvasya Lochanam Shastram. Shastra, in fact, is the Lochana for everything. Lochanam means eye. Lochanam for what? For everything. Sarvasya, not only for what the eye cannot see, but even for what the eye can see. To understand what the eye can also see, even for that, the Shastra is the eye of the eye. Okay. And he says, Sarvasya, the word Sarvasya in Sanskrit can be understood in two ways. One is everything. So Shastra is the eye for everything. Sarvasya can also be understood as everyone, for all people. Right? So Shastra is the eye for everybody, not only for an intelligent person, for a fool, for everybody who has knowledge, who has no knowledge. For everybody, Shastra is the eye for everything, everybody and everything. And so, after saying this, the Hitopadesha says, Yasya nasti andha evasa. One who does not have this eye is therefore only blind. Okay, so in the first three padas of the shloka has got four parts to it, right? Aneka samshayochedi, paroksharthasya darshakam, sarvasya lochanam shastram. The first three parts. After explaining that the Shastra is the eye for everything because it shows us everything, it says that if you don't have this eye, then what is it? It means that you're blind. One who doesn't have this eye is actually a blind person. So by this definition, a blind person is not one whose physical eye is not functioning properly. That's how we define the word blind, right? When we say he's a blind man, what do we mean? He has to go with a stick. He cannot see. His eye is not functioning properly. That's what we understand by the word blind. But here, Hitopadesha Narayana Pandita says that blind actually means one who does not have the eye of the Shastra, one who doesn't have the knowledge of the Shastra and is not trained to see the world through the lens of the Shastra. So this is the translation, and I would like you to also contemplate on the deeper meaning of this, because the Shastra that we are studying now, Bhagavad-Gita, is actually not just like Niti Shastra. Hitopadesha is a Niti Shastra, and maybe some of the things that the Niti Shastra says can be learnt even without reading the Shastra itself. Although the Hitopadesha has very fine truths about Niti, ethics, morality, even politics. It reveals how politics works in this world. Okay, Panchatantra and Hitopadesha, they are very similar texts. They show how people are political, how people are corrupt, corruption happens, how people lie, cheat each other, right? There's a very beautiful story in the Hitopadesha, which I will tell you now very briefly. It tells the story of a man, okay, a person, a pilgrim actually. He's a Brahmana. He's a very, what is a simple Brahmana, simple-hearted Brahmana. And he's walking, back home. He's gone on a pilgrimage and he's walking back home. And he's going through a forest. Okay, and as he goes through this forest, it's a very dark forest. All of a sudden, he hears a sound. Somebody is talking. So he turns and sees who is talking. So he's a tiger. A tiger, it is standing on one leg. Okay, a tiger is standing on one leg. And where is it standing? It's standing in the middle of a lake. There's a small lake. And he's standing in the middle of a lake. And it's the evening time. So this tiger is standing and it's got a bracelet, a golden bracelet in its hand. Okay, an ornament. So this tiger is standing and it is standing and it's meditating, it's closing its eyes and it's saying something. So as this man goes, he's very astonished. A tiger standing on one leg with a golden ornament in its hand. I mean, it's very strange. Never seen a sight like this. So as he sees, the tiger has also seen him. So the tiger says, "Oh, great traveler, please, come. I want to give you this bracelet. I want to gift you." So he's shocked by this. Tiger gifting me a bracelet, standing on one leg in the middle of a lake. Tigers are not supposed to be doing that. They're supposed to be hunting, and it's supposed to come and catch me and eat me. I mean, that's what a tiger is expected to do. But here's a tiger standing on one leg, and it is. So he asks, what do you mean? Why do you want to give me this bracelet? The tiger says, look, I'm actually not an ordinary tiger. I'm actually, I was earlier an ordinary tiger. I had a full life. I've lived a full life. As you can see now, I am in my old age. And I've actually done everything that tigers do. I've killed animals. I've killed even human beings. I've done everything. I've actually enjoyed my life thoroughly. But at some point, I realized that this is not why this is not what life is meant for. It's not meant for enjoyment. Life is actually meant for achieving higher purposes. So then I gave everything up and I decided to meditate. I decided to attain God. And I've given away everything, all my possessions, whatever I earned by killing animals, killing people. I accumulated so much wealth. I've given everything away. And I want to now gift you. I'm gifting. My only life now is to meditate on God and give away all my possessions by dan. I'm doing dan so that I get punya. I can go to the higher loka in the future births. So please accept this bracelet from me. I made up my mind today morning that the first person I see, I will gift this bracelet. And after a long time, you have come. So please take this bracelet from me. Please come and take this bracelet. So then this man, he's astonished. He says, what is this? Am I dreaming or what? First of all, I see a tiger standing on one leg, is standing in the middle of a lake. And then it's talking and it's holding a bracelet and it's telling me this, it's thinking of God and giving this bracelet as a dan, as a charity. What the hell is going on? I'm not able to. So he expresses his skepticism. He says, what are you saying? I mean, you're a tiger. You're not supposed to. I can't believe a tiger is talking like this. I can't come near you. I don't trust any tigers. So then the tiger says, see, I know what, I fully sympathize with you because you are, after all, a human being and, tigers kill human beings. So you are actually definitely, not to be held, not to be blamed for doubting me, whatever I say. But I'm not like that. I'm not like the tiger that you were thinking of. Uh, uh, don't, as you can see me, I'm just standing here. I've been standing here since morning. And all I'm thinking is, whom can I give this to? If I were to kill you, then all my punya will go away. I'll only get papa. Because my job now only is to think of God. So please don't doubt me. Please take this bracelet and give it to your family. Your family members will be so happy. Your wife will be so happy with this bracelet. You went on a pilgrimage, and this is the punya that you have got because of your pilgrimage. Please come and take this. Okay, so this conversation between the tiger and the Brahmana, this is given in the Hitopadesha. It's very, very nice. Where you can see the tiger is trying its best to convince the Brahmana about its purity and its genuine intentions. And the Brahmana is not able to trust the tiger because he knows that the tiger is, after all, an animal of prey and it preys on all other animals. So he doesn't want to go near. And this conversation goes on for some time. And eventually, the man gets convinced by the tiger. The tiger manages to convince the man, the Brahmana, that the tiger is not guilty, is not wicked. It's very kind. It's not having any malintentions. That it's pure, it's genuine. And eventually, the Brahmana, he he's fully convinced that the tiger will not harm him. He goes near to the tiger, and he's very happy that the tiger is going to give him the bracelet. And as he nears the tiger and extends his hand to take the bracelet, the tiger grabs his hand and says, "Ha ha ha ha. See how I fooled you. What an idiot you are. You really believed me that a tiger will not eat you. You see, what a stupid fellow. It's so easy to fool people like you. I, I'm just like any other tiger. Have you ever seen a tiger? Whatever you knew very well that the tigers eat men, but you just fell for my story, right?" And so the Brahmana at that point of time says, "Why did I give up my intelligence? Just for the sake of a golden bracelet, I gave up my intelligence. I fell for that that lure of this bracelet, that lure of something golden which came easily. I thought someone is easily gifting me this thing, and I just fell for that lure." That Brahmana regrets. So this story closes with the Brahmana regretting, and then it says that the Brahmana became a prey of that tiger. The tiger ate that Brahmana. He killed and ate the Brahmana. So now, what is this story in Hitopadesha trying to tell us? It's basically telling us. Can you reason out? I mean, I will ask you before I tell you my understanding of this story. What is it telling us? Anybody? Any of you can reason out?
It is obvious for people to manipulate, but what your previous understanding of the situation is, you should rely to that. People will try to manipulate you. Whatever you have, whatever education or whatever the predecessors have taught you, you should trust your instinct.
I'll probably just add that that getting rid of vices such as greed is not just a matter of doing good to others, but it's also the smarter choice in several situations, because it keeps you away. So it's not like if you do good, good will come to you. Doing good itself is good. Like when you do it, that's when the good is happening to you. So getting rid of vices is anyways the better choice.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think, the kind of conviction you have in your beliefs is very important, because there's so much, let's say, Maya around you that you're born to be distracted by these sort of materialistic things, right? And that's when the true test of your conviction over your beliefs comes into play. And that's the test that, perhaps the God kind of, Sri Bhagavana has on each of his disciples to see, what kind of conviction do you have? And you're constantly working towards, let's say, strengthening that.
Nice, nice. I think all the points that you made, my understanding is very similar. Subhashish, you want to add something? You raised your hand also.
I think similar to the others. I was more in terms of, I think, the belief around resisting temptations is something that was there, but then the Brahmana gave in to that in some form. So I think my understanding is that if your belief is that this is the correct way about it, that one should be able to resist the temptations, which is bound to be there in modern life far more than. I'm just trying to interpret in how it's going to be there in today's life and time. There would be many an opportunity where one would be tempted, materially or otherwise, and I think if the understanding is pure, and one should be able to resist, and I think resist the immediate gratification in some form is what I could pick up from this.
Nice. I mean, I think more or less the points that you people have made covers what I want to say. Let me try to sum it up. So here we have a tiger. The character of the tiger is the character of a typical person who wants to live by cheating others. So he presents a face of himself which is unreal. That's called kapatta. Kapatta means that which is different from the real thing. Okay, he presents a fake facade of himself. Internally, he is something else, but he shows a face which makes him appear very genuine, very kind, very real. And he wants to basically cheat the other person, and the other person is gullible. So initially he does have knowledge, but even though he has knowledge, there is this hook. Okay, like you said, greed, for example. There is a desire to get something easily, and that desire actually eventually baits him, right? So he gets baited by that, by this. The tiger uses that as a bait, and that is exactly how the greedy people, or the greedy people in this world, get baited by the cheaters and the cheated. This world is made up of cheaters and the cheated. This is not only in the matter of religion. In the matter of religion, this is happening extensively across the world. There are people who advocate, different types of benefits by doing different religious activities to others, make them do things by taking money from them. They make them, first of all, they take lots of money, and they also make them do all kinds of things, fasting or chanting mantras, visiting, taking bath in rivers. So it looks like they're doing a lot of things, make it look sophisticated, and eventually rip them off. Nothing happens, nothing comes out of it, and the person then realizes that he's been cheated. These things we hear so much. I went here, I went to this ashram, this person, I met this person, he said this, he said that. These stories we keep hearing. So it's in the world of religion, but it's not only in the world of religion, it's in the world of business everywhere. Okay, there are doctors who do this, there are lawyers who do this, there are chartered accountants who do this, there are professors who do this. Everybody does this. So this is rampant in this world. And so this story tells us to be very cautious when we deal with people. It's of course not meant to make us paranoid of living in this world. Definitely that's not the intention. It is just that it says that don't give up your intelligence. Listen to your instincts, listen to your inner intelligence before you go and jump in for a bait. Okay, be careful. There could be a bait in something that somebody promises, especially when there is a stranger involved. This tiger, for example, in the story, is a complete stranger to this man. This man has never seen that tiger before, but he goes to that stranger. So strangers, when somebody you don't know at all starts coming and speaking nice things to you, shows you a nice face, then you have to be doubly cautious. So these kind of messages come from this story, and they apply to this world. So I was giving an example. The Hitopadesha is full of stories like this, which illustrate very fine points about how this world works and how politics takes place, how morality is meant to be understood. What is moral? What is immoral? How friendship is meant to be understood. What is real friendship versus fake friendship, etc., etc., etc. What is leadership? There are many leadership lessons also in the Hitopadesha. So from class to class, I will try to cover these stories. They are very, very illuminating to us. Now, Hitopadesha aside, that is Niti Shastra. The Shastra that we are studying, Vedanta Shastra or Jnana Shastra, that tells us, that shows us things which are well beyond this. I mean, we cannot imagine knowing about the Atma, the Bhagavan, his qualities, the nature of Prakriti. There is something called mukti. It's impossible to know this without Shastra. It's something that we cannot logically arrive at, right? And that is why in the Gita also later on, in the 16th chapter, Sri Bhagavan will say, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam te karya karya vyavasthita. So he says, in doing all your activities, please keep only Shastra as the basis. Don't just blindly do something. Okay, he emphasizes the importance of Shastra and Shastriya Shraddha. Shraddha that we develop should be based on the Shastra and not just some blind faith. Okay, so the word blind faith is also indirectly mentioned in the Gita. There should be reasoned faith based on proper knowledge. So with this, I will stop today's class. We had some interesting points here, and if you wish to ask any further questions or make any comments and have a discussion, we can do that.
Yeah, if I may, so in the last story that we discussed about the tiger, I had a small doubt, because the thing is, generally, even in day-to-day life, there are people around you who will constantly, pull you towards doing things, and then later you realize it's only for their benefit and it's kind of against what you stand for. But then you think that, okay, fine, you're gonna, they've improved, you try to give them the benefit of doubt. And generally, till now, we've learned that you should learn to, let's say, give the other person the benefit of doubt and do things considering that they are doing things with a bona fide intention. And in that sense, again, you spoke about how you use instinct for, trying to understand whether that person is genuine or not. But then in real life situations, it becomes very hard to understand whether that person's actually being genuine or not. So how do you create that differentiation is what I was wondering.
So stories like this, they make us cautious. But even though we are cautious because of our own nature, either we are gullible or we ourselves have some desire. There is some anartha in us which makes us desire, like this Brahmana who desired that. He fell for that bracelet. So there is some bracelet in the hand of that person which attracts us. Even though we are not fully convinced that he is genuine, we may get attracted to the possibility of getting that bracelet in course of time. So for whatever reason, we get hoodwinked in life. The best teacher is experience. They say that nothing can teach us better than a kick on the back or kick on the butt. So we learn by getting cheated very often. We go through a bad experience and then we know that, yeah, this happened, but next time I will not fall for this. In the case of the Brahmana, he is killed by the tiger. Here, analogously, we can take killing to mean getting that kick on the butt. And we can say that we learn from that. That's how I, from what I have been through in life, got it many times. And maybe, my own anartha, I might have done wrong to others. It's quite possible. So let me also say that we should also take the lesson from the story that we should not become the tiger. We should also, the tiger in us, we should kill. We should become a Brahmana with knowledge, but not the tiger. So the tiger that's present inside us right now, we should just kill that tiger and live a very genuine life. Genuineness is the key to spiritual progress.
So is it genuineness from our end or from the other person's end? So because in this case, in the tiger story, there's of course a bracelet towards which the Brahmana is tempted towards or lured towards. But there might be instances wherein, let's say, my instincts are more genuine, and wherein I think, okay, fine, it is actually for the benefit of the person in front of me or let's say, any third person. But the other person is not being genuine. So from which side do we speak about genuineness?
So the genuineness, now the last thing which I said was that we should not become the tiger, because our goal is spiritual progress. We want to realize Bhagavan. We want to get that pure love, that prema, right? To become eligible for that, we have to become completely nishkapat in all dealings. Not only in dealings with Bhagavan, not only in the matter of our sadhana, our meditation, or our japa, but also in the matter of dealing with all others, even those who are not genuine. Even when we deal with those who are not genuine, even though we know that they are not genuine, we should not do what the tiger did to those people. They will do what the tiger did to us when they can. We should try to prevent that, to save ourselves. We should save ourselves from them to the extent that we can. But in return, even if we get cheated by them, we should not cheat them. There's no tit for tat. In spiritual life, there's no question of revenge. Just like there's another story which says there was a sadhu, a very small story. The sadhu was taking bath in the river, and then he saw a scorpion which was drowning near him. It was drowning, it was gasping for breath, it was drowning there. So he picked up the scorpion and put it on the side. But even as he was picking it up to put it on the side, the scorpion bit him. So when the scorpion bit him, instinctively he just shook his hand and the scorpion fell back into the river. And again it started drowning. And again he picked it up. Again it bit him. And again it fell into the river because he instinctively reacted like this. So there was a guy who was seeing this. He said, Maharajji, what are you doing? You're trying to save that scorpion, but it's biting you. So then the sadhu, he realized, okay, what this guy is saying is true. So he reflected on why he was doing that. So then he replied to that guy. He said, see, the scorpion was doing what it wants to do. That's its nature. I was doing by my nature. See, my action, I acted according to my nature. The scorpion acted according to its nature. So this is the nature of the sadhu. So even though the scorpion is biting him, the sadhu did not think this scorpion deserves to drown. So he could he thought maybe I can save it. Maybe that was just accidental biting. So let me save this scorpion. So the point I'm trying to make is not that we should go and get cheated by others, but the point I'm trying to say is that we should never think that this guy cheated me, so I will cheat him back. No. The only thing we should do is we should say that, okay, I will be careful with this guy next time. I will take care not to get cheated by anyone, not only this guy, but by anyone. But again, we may get cheated because our nature is to give ourselves to others. We do what we can, what good we can. So we tolerate this world, but we keep our eye. The motivation for remaining genuine is the fact that we become eligible for something much higher. That is the motivation.
Right, right. No, I think that makes sense, because the last bit of where you say, you got to stick to your nature rather than pick up someone else's nature. That becomes important because even in day-to-day lives, what happens is when we see other people doing some sort of a wrong, we start also resonating the same kind of thing. We start changing our nature or our status quo or whatever it is. So I think that's something that works well. So that genuineness is more from, let's say, our own end because the other bit is not under our control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So one thing again, I don't want to make this absurdly technical, but I think in my head I'm trying to balance between two stuff. One is when I read this, when this slide came up, I think where I thought I make sense is where I helps me distinguish. I'm not starting to think that okay, last time there was a black thing that or there was a white thing that ended up hurting me or causing me pain, so let me stay away from all black and white colored things, that kind of a thing where it helps me distinguish. And I think now I'm thinking, so on one hand I'm thinking that for example in technical finance you have this capital market line, right, which basically says that you cannot get higher expected reward until you take on higher perceived risk. So a lot of times I would be making a decision, say I'm making a cancer drug, and now if I look at the math, if I look at probability, it is very, very low that something like that will make sense or make financial sense. But when I look at the potential benefit the world will have when I make that drug, I'm saying, okay, even though the success rate of the drug can be 0.01%, it makes sense. And if it does cross the FDA line, then it can be, it will make sense financially as well. So I'm trying to think of that on one end, that how can I create value for the world without taking risk on one hand. And the other side, I'm thinking that the story of Tiger also kind of makes me feel that now I'll just be cautious. So the more I do things in life, the more I end up being cautious. How can I balance this thought where I think like, okay, I have been cheated, I'm more careful, I will look for triggers, but that shouldn't affect my risk appetite. But does it make sense?
Yes. I
Like
think
I shouldn't be so scared of failure going forward that I don't make potentially large decisions that have risk involved. I need to make those decisions, taking an optimal amount of risk, but I need to make sure that I don't become greedy and take a risk that I potentially ignore. And then I make my decision with confirmation bias because now I'm greedy. Instead of thinking about the greater good, now I'm greedy. So I think there's a very thin line before which I'm thinking good, I'm thinking sane and the larger good. Beyond that line, it's greed that's taking me over. So how do we use this eye of Shastra to not cross that line, but reach it as much as I can?
I think it's not about risk per se that is being rejected here. It is taking risk which is driven by greed, ambition driven by greed versus ambition that is not driven by greed, but driven by a genuine desire, a genuine purpose. The genuine purpose to help somebody to accomplish something also is subject to failure or threat or danger, like in this case. So I think what Shastra is trying to say here in this story is about reject the greed. It's because of greed that he became gullible to that tiger. If that greed was not there in him, he would not have just gone near the tiger at all. He would have said that, okay, I have an element of doubt that this tiger is not genuine. And anyway, by taking the bracelet from the tiger, I'm not going to help the tiger also. So there is no need for me to go near it at all. I have say 5% doubt that this tiger is telling me a story. So I just won't go near it. There's no need for me to take the bracelet at all. You just walk by it. So the greed, when it's driven by some greed, then you are susceptible to failure and you are to blame for that failure. Shastra says that you are to blame for it. But you failed in doing something which was not driven by greed, by genuine intention, then Shastra supports that. Let's say you do something like say you run an orphanage for children who don't have parents, who have been abandoned by their parents or who did not have parents beyond a certain age, who are left desolate and neglected on the road. You run an orphanage with the genuine intention of kindness, thinking that this is, these are Bhagavan's children. Let me take care of them. Let me give them a life. Now, that intention may be very pure in your heart and not driven by greed. And you may face a lot of difficulty in doing that. You may get cheated by people. You may get this and that and everything. But that Shastra would support that kind of an activity when you're keeping Sri Bhagavan in mind and doing it. That would not make you the Brahmana of this story.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I somehow feel in the real world somewhere the decisions are not as straight as say the bracelet. There it would be like that tiger would say, hey, can you give me those berries? If you give me those berries, then I can die peacefully. Then I can, those are the last things I wish to have. And once I have it, I can die peacefully. Can you give it to me? And then out of kindness, we'll be the ones who'll be like, okay, fine. It's the last thing the tiger wants. It has lived a bad life. It is repenting. Let me give the berries. And once we give the berries, it will be like, aha, I caught you. So, so there you are still becoming a prey, but your motivation is different. The reason you're helping the tiger is different. So even in that case, even though you're becoming a prey, it is like you still go through the process of Chitta Shuddhi. Because it's not one birth you're thinking multiple births. And now, even though you became prey to the tiger, you died for a bigger cause than for the bracelet.
Depends on why you give the berries. Again, see the whole difference between greed and non-greed is what is inside you, what is driving you to do it. Suppose you thought that in giving the berries to the tiger, I will become famous. I will become known in society as a man who saved the tiger. Suppose that was your motivation, then there is no Chitta Shuddhi in it. But if the motivation was
Kindness,
very genuine, you genuinely felt the kindness and you don't care for any attention to yourself. You don't want anyone to think of you as a celebrity and you just shun that. You shun the praise, you shun the celebrityness, and you just want to help that tiger and go on, and in the process you got cheated. Then there is Chitta Shuddhi and you will get a higher birth. So the same action now done with different motivation. The motivation behind the action is what decides where you end up, not the action itself.
got it.
You understood, right?
Makes sense. Now that makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was asking. Perfect. Thank you.
So the difference between Karma Yoga and Samanya Karma is not in the karma itself. The karma is identical. You do the same thing in Karma Yoga as you do in Samanya Karma. It is the motivation, the mentality behind those actions that decide the difference. And going forward, when we talk about bhakti, again, it's only the mentality, because the actions in bhakti yoga are also very similar to the actions in karma yoga, although not exactly the same, but very similar. And so it's the mentality with which you do those actions which decide where you're going and what you will achieve. Yeah. Nice. So let's pray that this year will take us forward in our understanding of Shastra and make spiritual advancement. All of us will advance a few notches in our spiritual paths. Shall I close for today? Any other questions or comments? Okay, let me close with our Veda mantra. Om Shanno Mitra Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmavadisham Ritamavadisham Satyamavadisham Tanmamavit Tadbhaktaramavit Avin Mam Avin Bhaktaram Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Punarmilama.